Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers FFPL podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon, Hector, and Captain Fantastical Mick, where we take a look to see how the managers in this league are getting on for the season. However, we'll also be talking about much more. So kick back, stay tuned, and enjoy. Hello, and a very warm welcome to today's show. Well, we're going to be taking a look at Gameweek 33 and checking in to see what, if any, movement there has been with our managers and their teams. However, joining me on today's show are none other than the two amigos, Eamon and Hector. Eamon, nice as always to have you on the show.
And as always, it's a pleasure to be on the show. It's nice to be here and nice to see how our managers are getting on and what they've been up to, what tactics, what strategies they've been doing.
And did you have a nice weekend?
I did, yes. It was very nice. The weather, we were lucky with the weather during the day. I know it was raining in the evening time, but it was very nice. It's a nice opportunity to sit outside, watch the world go by and catch up in little bits of the football and the soccer. Just enjoy life as it should be. And as I said, I'm looking forward to see how our managers have fared out in game week 33.
Well, we'll be getting to them shortly, but over to Hector. The wonder has returned. How are you?
I am much better, thank you. It's nice to be back on the show. It's been a little while since I was here, but it's good now.
Yes, and you were out with a bad back. And this is after the infamous Easter egg hunt.
Yes, that was it. Not good for me. The children were a little bit too rough. I will not be going back to that sort of hunt again there.
You say the children were a bit rough. Now, from what I hear, you were a bit rough yourself. Eamon has told us that you were out there pushing children out of the way in an attempt to get the last Easter egg.
Well, no, I would not say I was out there pushing the child there.
Well, now, that's not what Eamon has said. And Eamon told us, in his own words, he was a spectator.
In fairness, Hector, I was in a good position to see and to view the whole event, the whole carry-on. You can't argue with that now, and you know that I saw everything.
No. I tell you what happened. I was running, the children are running around there. I was dressed up like an Easter bunny, you have to remember. Not easy to always be running around. I slipped. I lose my balance a little bit, and then I put my hand out and accidentally pushed the child over.
Hold on a moment, Hector. My recollection on this is that you were using both hands to push children out of the way.
That is right, Eamon. You are correct. I was trying to keep my balance, and I had both my hands out, my arms out, flapping like little bird, to try and do this.
And now, Hector, I'd put it back to you. It's not as though you were skating on ice and were losing your balance that one. Now, come on. What are you trying to feed us here? Some sort of a sob story that you were the victim of all of this?
But I was the victim, and it's this pushing of the children, and that ended up blowing out of the atmosphere, and other children launching themselves at me.
Hold on a moment. You're after saying the pushing of the children here led to other children launching themselves at you. But I mean, you started pushing them out of the way first of all, and in the ensuing scuffle, wound up with a bad back, a slip disc, I believe.
That is correct. They just launched themselves at me. They were dancing on my back, Eamon. You must have saw that.
I didn't see that now. You started pushing kids out of the way, and it wasn't just one or two children. There was about 4 or 5 kids there. One of them got a push in the back, and you were still running.
I was the motion of the suit to carry me forward, and I could not stop in time until I hit the deck.
So, Hector, basically you're saying you didn't do anything wrong.
Perhaps maybe I could have fallen to the ground and let the children run on. Maybe I do that the next time. But there won't be a next time. I will not be wearing that jumping bunny suit again. It's not very good. I don't want it.
Yes, indeed. Well, maybe the next time, if you're involved in an Easter egg hunt, you'll refrain from pushing any children. I think you're a bit big now for that, in fairness.
I tell you, I say I did not push child on purpose. I did not do it in the deliberate fashion.
No, well, I tell you, it's not a very balanced case that's coming across here. Big lug like you pushing children all over the place. I think we'll take a look at Game Week 33 here and see how the managers got on.
But we were talking about my back. What about that?
But you're sitting down now, fine, aren't you? You've recovered. Now, okay, that's enough of that. Moving on swiftly. It's time to talk football. Hey man, I can't believe this. I just been cut off, dear. What is this?
This is what happens, Hector. I'm sorry, Hector, but nobody's interested in this here. We just wanted to recap with you. It's time for football. And if you were listening to the show, there's none of this nonsense between the host and myself. We get talking about football much quicker than we do when you're on the show. I have to say that, honestly.
That madre mia. That is a fine welcome back for me.
Okay, game week 33. The highest points came in at 138 and the average points were 55 points. Now, no change in first place. Kane's a keeper are there with 64 points, Eamon.
This week, they didn't have any transfer. Their captain was Haaland. They got 28 points. It's a nice result. And when we take a look at the best of the rest of the players, we've got Sankey had 5 points. Maddison had 6 points. Marsh had 5 points. Robertson had 6 points. And Alexander-Arnold had 5 points. On the bench, there's the goalkeeper, Neto, 7 points. 7 points might have been a little bit handy to have, but they didn't have it. They're still holding first place, but I don't think they're going to be overly happy. There are 4 players on that pitch on their team that got 2 points each. 1 player managed 1 point. Not a great result. As I said, 64 points keeps them driving forward. They're not pulling away though. That's a concern I have.
There's no change either. Then in second place, Taiga got 67 points. Hector, do you want to talk about this team now?
Well, they had no transfer. They also went for Haaland as the captain. He got the 28 points. The other notable players on this team were De Kane. He got the 11 points. Marsh had the 5 points. Rashford had the 12 points. On the bench, they had the goalkeeper Rea, who got 9 points. And they had me. He got 6 points. A very handy 15 points if they were on the page there. They are, by my calculations, at the end of game week 33, they are 11 points behind Kane's a keeper. But they're doing well to keep in touching distance. Like Eamon say about the Kane a keeper, this manager, Tayegi, will not be happy. There were 3 players getting 1 point each and 4 players picking up 2 points. That is not a good result there. That is not good for them. They got the 3 points more than Kane's a keeper. They're keeping there. They're eating into it. I think even you said last week that they have to keep chipping off the points.
Yes, they have to. I think if Tayega is really, really concentrating on trying to get into first place, they have to keep eating into that buffer zone. They have to be getting more points than Kane's a keeper in order to overtake him.
Now we've a new manager in third place, up from last week's fourth. Arkham Avengers with 50 points. Hey man.
They had 2 transfers and they lost 4 points. So the spoofer is back losing points. They did go for Haaland and they got 28 points there. Murphy got 6 points and Alexander got 5 points. The rest of the team, in my view, are a disappointment. 3 players got 1 point each and 4 players got 2 points each. Their goalkeeper, Johnson, who had been showing great, kudos, doing really well up to recently, didn't get any points. That's been a complete collapse there. And then on the bench, Slanky is sitting there with 5 points and me had 6 points. There's not much point having those lads there. They did get up to third place and they've done well, but I can't see them holding on to third place in my view.
And as a result of their going up to third, Lafayette Lions down to fourth, 42 points. Hector.
This manager have no transfer either. They went for Haaland, the captain, 28 points. And that pretty much was as good as it gets. Like, when you look at the rest of the team, 4 players managed 1 point each and 5 players managed 2 points each. I think for this manager, a little bit of a disaster here, like a hurricane or tornado coming through, blew them all over the place. And it probably made worse when you look at their bench, because the Gakpo, he had the 10 points, me had the 6 points, and Henry had 5 points. I think this manager, we have to reconsider their approach and really look at their team. If they're serious about trying to get into the top 3 again and to finish in top 3, we have to do a lot of looking and see where they go here in the remaining matches.
There's no change, so in 5th place with the good, the bad, and the goalie, 53 points, Eamon.
This manager had 2 transfers this game week, and again they went for Haaland as the captain, 28 points. The consistency with the top 5 guys here. Rashford chipped in with 12 points, but other than that, the rest of the players, pretty poor return from them in my view. 5 players with 2 points each, and 3 players who got 1 point each. Again, we have to look at the bench. The goalkeeper Rea had 9 points, Fernandez had 5 points, and Bueno had 7 points. The positive thing that I take away, that this manager will take away this week, is that they got 53 points. They closed the gap on Lafayette Lions and the spoofer. They're in a position to push for third place, but they need better return.
No change either then in 6th place. The best season ever, 77 points, Hector. No transfers for this manager, and they had the Haaland, the captain also, 28 points. Kane was there with 11 points. Gakpo had 10 points. Rashford had 12 points, and Alexander-Arnold had 5 points. The rest show the following: 5 of the players had 2 points each, and 1 player managed 1 point. On the bench, they had 6 points. I think, though, it is a very solid result, especially after last week. I think, if I remember, you say he stuttered a little bit.
Yes, that's right. They stuttered last week.
And no stuttering this week. 77 points. Very good. I think my calculations here puts them 23 points behind Arkham Avengers in 3rd place at the end of Gameweek 33, which is good. They have fighting chance. Are you saying that you think that best season ever could make it into the top 3? Quite possibly. Well, I don't know, but quite possibly. Eamon, what's your thoughts on this here now?
Well, 23 points is not the be-all and the end-all, and they certainly have an outside chance of making it into the top 3. They will, however, be dependent on the good, the bad, and the goalie, Lafayette lines, and the spoofer to make a mess of the remaining matches. And they will also need to get more points than those 3 managers in order to close that gap and eat into that 23 points. It's a big if, where we've had 33 game weeks. They've had a long season to get their house in order. This could be a case of the Sam Allardyce coming in to save Leeds at the last minute. Best season ever, coming in at the last minute, trying to nab 3rd spot. They have an outside chance, but I'm not sure if they can do it.
There's no change either then in 7th place. Raglan Road, 50 points, Eamon.
They had 1 transfer this week, and they opted for Martinelli as the captain, who managed 2 points. Who managed to get the points? Who managed to bring the points in? Let's see. Kane was there with 11 points. Rashford was there with 12 points. Gakpo was there with 10 points. The goalkeeper was there, Neto, with 7 points. They had 3 players who managed 2 points each and 2 players with 1 point each. Poor captain selection from this manager here. It's cost them points. It's cost them a chance of, rising reasonably there. Now, they're not going to move out of 7th, but at least make a fist of it, lads. They're rooted in 7th. I expect that they will learn from this. They will take this away and they will learn for the next season.
There's no change either then in 8th place with Blytham squad, 43 points. Hector, they had the 1 transfer. They went for Grealish as the captain and got 2 points. The better performers were Wilson, 13 points. Alex Moreno, 7 points. And the goalkeeper, Neho, 7 points. There were 7 players on their team who managed just to get the 2 points each, which pretty poor, I have to say. There's not a lot to say, not a lot going on here. I think no more than Raglan Road, this manager made poor captain choice. Although, to be fair to them, you expected that the Grealish is going to do the business. The player let you down. Not much you want to do about it. Now, there's no change either than in 9th place with maximum effort, 58 points, Eamon.
No transfer from this manager. They did, though, play bench boost. Surprise, surprise. They went for Isaac as the captain and got 2 points. And the best of the rest here were Haaland, 14 points. De Bruyne had 19 points. The goalkeeper, Raya, had 9 points. They had 6 players who got 2 points each and 2 players who got 1 point each. And on the bench, they played their bench boost, remember? They had a total of 2 points. Well, knock me down with a feather. If they looked at their teams in recent weeks and looked at the bench, I cannot fail to see how they did not know this wasn't going to work, because the track record of their bench, their subs bench for the last number of weeks, has been shockingly poor. This manager just decided to take a punt on fresh air, and it just hasn't worked. It's backfired badly. It's time for this manager to hang up their managerial cap, because they're not working, their team's not working, and they're just throwing chips out there. If there were seagulls to go picking it up, not caring what lands, where it lands, how it lands.
There's no change in 10th place with What a Beauty 99. Now, they got 65 points, Hector. They had no transfer. They went for Trippier as their captain and got the 4 points. When we look at the rest, Haaland was there with 14 points. Rashford was there with 12. De Bruyne had the 19. Me had the 6 points. 1 player managed to get 3 points. 1 player managed 1 point, and they had 3 players to get the 2 points each. It's a decent result, okay? They got the 65 points, but not much use to them at this start of the season, this stage, their intent. That's where they finished the season out. Now, when we take a look at the rest of the table here, and there's no change in 11th place. Kalish Bate managed 36 points. In 12th, no change either. Real No Stars, 64 points. No change in 13th with Silver Stroke, 51 points. And finally, no change in 14th. Better Idea 22-23. They managed 42 points. But gentlemen, so the main battle at the moment here, apart from who's going to take first place, is the battle for third spot here with 4 managers. We're talking 4 potential managers vying for that position.
Yes, I think I would put my money, if I was going to take a punt on this, my money is going on the good, the bad, and the goalie, especially because, if I'm correct, at the end of game week 33, they still have a wild card up their sleeve. And I think that they stand a good chance. Do they also have a free hit? Yes, it's quite possible that they have a free hit. I'm not too sure about that there. And let's not forget either that the best season ever, as far as I'm aware, they have a triple captain. Could that be their race? That's the question that some people might be looking at there.
Hector, what's your take on this?
I think that the Jerry will have the last laugh. I think, even they do have the free hit. They have the free hit and the wild card. And I think that would be enough to take over and to get the control there.
Perhaps maybe game week 34 may prove to be the season-defining moment for the good, the bad, and the goalie. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, we have a couple of double matches coming up in game week 34. That's going to spice it up nicely, and we're probably going to have a look and see what's going to happen with our managers and who's going to do what there. Gentlemen, as always, it's great to have you back. Hector, it's fabulous to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. As I say, and I listen to the show at home, and I think, my heart, I think I want to be back on the show. But, as I say, my back must be on the sore side. And this guy will take his time. But give me the wanting to come on the show there.
Okay, so you'll be back next week.
He will be back. He has no problem with that.
Before I get to the shout out, Eamon, you have not come back with an Eamon's tackle for weeks on end. And you did tell us you were going to have an Eamon's tackles. What's happened?
I think that because Hector and Captain Fantastical Mick were not on the show, there was a different flow in that we got talking about the beautiful game, the football, the managers, the tactics. I didn't feel that we needed to add anything in there. Certainly, we didn't need to add in Eamon Tackles. Now, I can bring Eamon Tackles back if you want, if the listeners want. I leave it up to you guys. But if you want it, I'm ready to rock and roll.
You might have something for us next week, so would you?
Certainly, I can do that, yes.
Great stuff. Now, Hector, back to you and your shout out. The listeners haven't had a shout out for weeks. They're probably wondering what's happened. Do you have a shout out for us?
I do indeed, yes. I have the shout out. I have very special shout out.
Right, take it away.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Hector's Hellos. I know it has been a few weeks since you heard me, but here I am back. And today, I want to give a big shout out, a special shout out to all our listeners in Frankfurt am Main, in Germany, in Bristol. We have Barrow in Furness. We have Skipton, Loughborough. We have our listeners in Dublin, our listeners in Magical Mayo, Mahi Monaghan. We have our listeners in Cavan, over in the Galway, down in the Cork. We have our listeners in Paris, in Bourgogne, in Perugia. We have our listeners in Croatia. We have the listeners over there in Athens and Cyprus. And then we have also our lovely listeners listening to us in Spain. I hope it's not too hot for you guys over there. It's very, very high with temperature. We have our listener in Portugal. We then move over to Kumasi in Ghana and Nzega in Tanzania. Thank you, folks, for listening to us. We appreciate that. Our listeners in Thailand, in Singapore, in Brisbane, in Australia. We flick over the ocean and go to Argentina. We say hi to all our listeners there. Move up to Brazil. Hi, Mom. I'm doing better. You will hear me here now, and I'm back in business. Our listeners in Uruguay and in Ecuador. Then we go to California. We have our listeners there in Fort Dodge in Iowa. We also have listeners in a place called Rosebud Indian Reservation in Nebraska. And our listeners in Iran, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and in Nixon, Missouri. Plus, we have some listeners in Ashburn in Virginia. Nice to have you there. And in Canada.
Did you manage to get everybody there, Hector?
Well, Eamon, as I say, I missed a few weeks and I had to catch up there. And sorry, who's in Nebraska? Did you mention something about a reservation?
Yes. Where is my list here? Yeah, the Rosebud Indian Reservation in Nebraska.
Never heard of it.
There's a couple of Indians listening to you, Hector, is there?
Well, I don't know. They're listening to us, yeah.
Well, that's very interesting and pleased to have them. And it's grand that you're listening to the show. Please get in touch with us. Needs be. Well, there's not much more I can say there, but thank you for that, Hector. And I hope our listeners enjoyed the return of Hector's Hello. You'll be back next week.
Yes, I will be back. Hector always have a big hello.
I have to say something. I'm not sure if he enjoyed It'd be the word that I would use.
And I think that's about it. It's time to wrap up. Lads, enjoy the coming days. Enjoy the rest of the football for game week 34. Captain Fantastical Mick is still in France, but has indicated he is coming back for one of the shows. He will be with us before this football season finishes. And again, thank you for that. And finally, to our listeners, most importantly, as always, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us and listening to us. Your being there means a lot to us here on the show. And thank you for following us. And don't forget to tell your friends and your family and your neighbors, spread the word about us here. So for the coming days, we hope that you remain well and safe everywhere in the world, and that you have an enjoyable time, and do take it easy. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back. Slán.